What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever, period. I'm your host, Pharaoh, and as you see by the title, today I'm going to be figuratively speaking with Jimmy from Big Brother 27 and discussing all of the tea of how he feels about being evicted from the Big Brother house. Now, if you are new here and you do not know, as per usual, these interview questions are not being asked by me. They're being asked by a CBS representative, and he is answering to them. However, the questions they're asking are the questions that were submitted by us and other podcasters and bloggers asking Jimmy questions about his experience in the Big Brother house. So some of these questions are ours. I'm just not the one actually speaking to Jimmy or whatever. So yes, going into it, I think the first two questions I'm going to put, actually, maybe not the first two questions. Child, some of the questions is ours. I had to organize it in a way that it made sense. So some of them are ours, some of them are not. Get into it. Here's the interview with Jimmy, period. All right, Jimmy sister. Now, you just got evicted from the Big Brother house, but I want to ask, if you stayed in the house after this week and you won that head of household competition, who would have been your targets moving forward and why?
Yeah. If I had stayed in the house, I think the trio of Vince, Morgan, and Zach needed to be broken up 100%. If I was HOH, those would have been my three nominees. And if I'd had a renom, I would have renommed Mickey just to pay her back for what she had done to me. But I would have made her feel very safe. I would have lulled her into a false sense of security. And then 5 minutes before I nominated her, I would tell her I was considering putting her up. I'd say, Mickey, a lot of people have been saying your name. It'd be dumb for me not to consider it. And then I'd put her right back up because I'm a petty bitch. And that's how I feel about that. Those are the people I would have targeted, and I would have really clung to working with Rachel, Ava, Will, and Ashley for sure.
Okay. So you were in an alliance with Mickey, but she put you on the block, and a lot of the reason she claimed was because she thought you were playing both sides of the house. Who do you think influenced her to feel this way? Why do you think she decided to go that direction with her HOH?
Absolutely. Well, I felt solid with Mickey, and while I was playing the middle in some aspects, at the end of the day, what I was doing was to help shield and protect not just the triple threat, but the heavy hitters. And all I'm going to say is now that I'm not in the game anymore doing that, all of those people are vulnerable, and some of them may be potentially going home this week. So I'm not saying my gameplay was vindicated, but there may have been more intellect and strategy to my gameplay than meets the eye, and I think we're seeing that play out right now. I was very surprised Mickey put me up on the block. I really did trust her. I really feel like Morgan for weeks had been getting in her ear and planting those seeds. And I think she allowed Vince, Zach, and unbeknownst to Morgan, Keanu to help water those seeds to grow into the plant that led to Mickey sending me home for sure.
Okay, and considering all of that, do you feel like Mickey's HOH was a flop overall, or was it giving, sister?
I do. I feel like Mickey's HOH was a flop. We being Mickey and our side of the house, have been bleeding numbers for weeks. Part of that was due to my HOH, but again, I don't view Amy as a number for me. I never did, so I never viewed her as a number I was sending home. But was she a number for my allies? Absolutely. So Mickey had been losing allies week after week after week since they left. So sending me home, I think, was horrible for her game when she could have broken up the showmance and sent somebody like Riley or Catherine packing. I think would have been much smarter for Mickey's game. So Mickey's HOH was absolutely a flop, and I'm not just saying that because she went home, but objectively, I think it was bad gameplay.
Period. A whole flop. Now, all week, Mickey had been saying that the reason she was putting you on the block is because of decisions that you were making in this game. She kept saying that over and over and over again. And some of the fans felt like maybe she was like trying to cope and she was feeling this herself. So do you think that Mickey was trying to convince herself, or do you genuinely feel like there was a rightful reason for her to have put you on the block?
I think Mickey was saying that to convince herself. She was trying to rationalize why she put up one of her best friends in the house and one of her most trusted allies on the block. From anybody's perspective, it was a stupid move. It was bad gameplay and it was a flop of an HOH. It was a flop and it was a chop. Sorry, Mickey. But it was. And I think she really had to rationalize that to herself because I do think she understood after a certain point she was making moves for other people in the game rather than making a move that was best for her game. At that period in time, Mickey breaking up the showmance and sending home somebody like Riley would have been the best move for her game, but she didn't like the optics of sending home somebody whose HOH she had just taken. And I do think at the end of the day, that's why I ended up on the block.
Okay, Jimmy, and during your HOH in week 2, we saw that your alliance was not happy with the decisions you were making throughout the week, specifically Mickey and Morgan. And eventually they used that as a reason as to why it was justified for you to be evicted. So do you regret some of the moves you made during your HOH week, specifically like nominating Will and nominating Amy, who were allies with your allies?
I don't regret anything about my HOH. I do wish I hadn't put Will up, but I feel like I was making the best decisions for my game at the time. When the 2 house targets came down, I was nominating people who were either going to be a number for those targets or who were in a gray area with me game wise. And that's exactly where Adrian, Amy, and Will were for me at the time. Not listening to my allies is really interesting because for days I was trying to get Mickey and Morgan to give me alternate considerations to be replacement nominees, and they only did so hours before the veto ceremony. So I was asking them if you don't like my nominees, then who would you put up? And their answer was always, "Ooh, it's really hard. I don't know who I'd put up." Okay, well, if you don't know who you put up, then who would put up, then stop telling me you don't like my decisions. They shortly before the veto ceremony, did suggest putting up Riley or putting up somebody like Catherine, who I was working with Catherine and Lauren at that point of the game, and it was way too early to put up somebody like them. So I don't regret what I've done on my HOH. I feel like I was listening to my allies who were willing to talk to me. And at the end of the day, I made the decisions that I thought were best for my game. And I stand behind sending Amy home, but I wish I hadn't nominated Will.
Okay, and with that being said, looking back, do you feel like you should have taken out maybe a bigger target with your HOH week?
Maybe I should have taken out a bigger target. If I had known that Morgan and Mickey were so upset with my nominations, I would have pulled an Ava and said, listen, if you're so upset with my nominations, then you can take a seat. I maybe wish I'd had a little bit of foresight to do that, or even to put up somebody like Vince or Zach. Hey, I could have left the house with $10,000 if I put up Zach. So maybe I should have considered that as well. But at the end of the day, I stand behind my decision to send Amy home. She would have gunned for me if she had the opportunity. She might have been able to influence somebody like Rachel or Ashley to put me up at some point. So Amy was never a number for me. I stand behind my decision to send her home. Do I wish I'd put up some bigger targets alongside her? Yes, I do.
Okay, Jimmy, Libra sister. This is my last question, and it's about the other Libra in the house. You went in this game, and you were the main one on night 1 saying that Rachel Riley needed to leave that house. But by the time you were getting evicted, that was your closest ally. That was your best friend. So what changed throughout the season that led you and Rachel to be so close by the end?
Yeah, I mean, spending time with Rachel and talking to her is what changed my mind. I mean, I wanted Rachel out of that house from day 1. But by day 3, I was so excited she was there. And Rachel and I were spending almost all of every day together, hanging out, talking games, strategizing, and connecting as people. And I think having a support system like that in the house is super important because you're pulled away from your family nucleus. You're pulled away from the support systems that you've created and developed. And having somebody that I could actually trust implicitly, like Rachel, was beyond impactful for me. And at that point, if I had stayed after the kindness she'd showed me the week I was on the block, I mean, there's not a bad thing Rachel Riley could have done to me. And there was at no point of the game would I have ever turned it on her. Rachel, from very early on, really was my final 2. I was taking her there no matter what. If not for game wise, for personal reasons as well. Just being around Rachel was a blast for me. And also sitting next to Rachel in the final 2 chairs and losing to her. Rachel is definitely somebody I would have been proud to lose to, especially if she had gotten her second crown. But moving forward, I'm rooting for Ava, Ashley, and Rachel 100%.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That was my exit interview, figuratively, with Jimmy or whatever. Make sure you get into all of the other content we have every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We do have Big Brother content all season. Of course, on Tuesdays, we have our live feed recap. On Wednesdays, we have our after show. And on Thursdays, we have our eviction breakdown right after the episode. This week's after show guest is Derek Levasseur. Make sure you guys send in your questions to Derek Levasseur, your appropriate questions to Derek Levasseur, using the hashtag Kingdom Speaks or whatever on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. You can add us, whatever you need to do to send in your questions to Derek. Keep it appropriate. And yes, get into the rest of us. Subscribe, like if you haven't, and thank you for keeping it real with the Kingdom, baby. We're out. Bye.